And the line that kept playing in my head was, we're not here just to be, we're here to become.
We are Saints in the South, your source for gospel growth and good times. All right, everyone, welcome. Episode 132. Today we've got Marcus and myself, Jackson. Marcus is back from being gone a couple of weeks. So I say he was gone 2 weeks ago, and then my schedule was off last week and everything and stuff. So, but hey, I wanted to mention I like that background, man. That for everybody out there that don't know Marcus personally, this is Marcus right here.
This is my realm.
Yeah, we got the band equipment, the speakers, the guitar.
We got drums. America.
I was gonna mention America, Billy South Band.
We got some scriptures and some
Captain Moroni.
That's
right. And of course, little Saints in the South up there.
Got a Fender amp.
That's right. Yeah, good stuff. I like that.
A drum head that's signed by Metallica.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I'm just saying it's.
Hey, I like that now. I like that.
All kind of stuff. So.
Well, hey, so just wanted to do just a couple of promotions, something we hadn't done in a little while, but mentioned that, hey, if you're still hanging around or if you're new to the channel, please subscribe on our YouTube channel. If you're watching, if you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, please subscribe there. If you have the opportunity to leave some reviews and ratings and so forth, that we're trying to put more content out there other than just the podcast. So continuing trying to grow. So anything y'all do helps out greatly. Join in on the conversations that we have on YouTube or on our Facebook group page, Saints in the South. And we just released an interview that I did with Elder Jacob Hatcher. Elder Hatcher, great young man. He's currently serving his mission. He was originally called as a proselyting missionary over in Germany. But on the interview, he goes into some details on some struggles and anxieties and everything that he has. And he ends up transitioning into a service missionary here locally back home. And great discussion that I had with him. So be sure and click on the video here that I'll post and everything. So
yeah, he was actually on a podcast. Was it a Mother's Day podcast or something? What did we do? We did something
he was.
One time
That's
way
right.
back. That was before he left on his mission.
Yeah, I think it was the Stripling Warriors podcast.
Yeah, that's it.
With the Book of Mormon. That's right. Him and his mother Megan. That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Super intelligent guy.
Yeah.
Super good guy.
Well, hey, so tell us a little bit about Gavin, man. He's RM you got in the house there now.
First of all, is that air conditioner too loud?
No, I don't hear it at all.
Can't hear that.
That's what these
sounds like a semi truck just crunk up beside me. Anyway, so yeah, man. That's the thing, man. I'm an RM. You're an RM. And all of a sudden I've raised an RM. And
that's right.
I mean, it starts to hit you. It's like, wow, that's crazy. It just blows my mind, to think about sometimes. And I'm sitting there. So now when I'm sitting around with guys like you or with my brother-in-law or whoever that have served missions, it's like, oh yeah, my son's also served a mission. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just
now he can join in those conversations.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
When I was on my mission.
Yeah, that's exactly
really
right.
cool.
And it's just like, wait, what? And I'm sure it'll continue as when he gets married and he has kids. Right. It's like, wait a minute, you can't say those. Wait, yeah, you can. You've already done that. That's crazy. But yeah, anyway, it's it's very it's such a blessing, to have that in your home, and just to see his maturity, and I guess me knowing myself and how it was when I got home, I want to believe that I know exactly what he's thinking and things, but you also get that overwhelming feeling that, he's his own individual, he's his own person. So it's hard for a father or a parent to look at things and go, hey, now make sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's not. Maybe he's not even thinking that because he's not me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, and now he's a man. I mean, so one of the first things I noticed visually when I got home or when he got home, or when I went to pick him up, I guess, was he had like a
little scruff, some scruff going on. Yeah,
I mean, but it's like the stubble. I was like, wow. I was like, what? So anyway, I always called him my mini me. Now I just call him my me. He's not mini anymore. And And then I used to say that I could grow a beard out so he could tell us apart, but now he can do that too. So I don't know. I got this twin that walks around everywhere with me, but
that's fun times. That's good,
man. It's so cool,
man.
Happy
for y'all for sure. That's
appreciate it. We appreciate it. You'll be there before too long. I'm telling
you. I know
it.
Yeah,
just blink your eyes like maybe once or twice, and it'll be there.
Wow,
it's crazy.
Well, let's jump in here. We got the book of Job this week, and most everybody out there, if you're a Christian and familiar with the Bible, you know about Job.
Yeah.
And his experience with everything and being tempted and so forth. And so I guess just, there's we kind of talking off air here, maybe 3 different parts here on discussing Job, but just a kind of a quick overview. Job was a wealthy man, very wealthy man, right?
Yeah.
He had been blessed abundantly.
Yep.
And so Satan shows up, and and this is one of the questions that I have. Did this conversation between Satan and God really take place, or is it just kind of a metaphor? Well,
yeah. I mean, I think it did take place, maybe just not in this context. Maybe not. Obviously at this time, and like I say, this is all. I'm not a scholar or anything, but this conversation did somewhat happen. In the beginning, if you go way back, obviously the limits were set for Satan, and it wasn't, one thing we do know and that I've read is that the Lord and, our Heavenly Father, they do not negotiate with Satan. They don't negotiate and say, okay, we'll let you do this if you let us do this. I mean, that's not how it works. Satan has zero power to do anything. Only what Heavenly Father allows him to do. And so basically it's like it goes back to the beginning where basically, Satan, you can tempt and you can afflict these people, but you only have so much power, and there's limitations. You can't kill him, you can't this and that, whatever. And so so this conversation did happen. I think it's written in I think they call this part of this is where the poems start in the Old Testament, the section. And so this is literature. But so then it brings up the question, was Job a real man? Is this all made up, for literary? But we hear Peter talk about Job. I believe it was Peter. I think Paul maybe talked about Job. I can't remember. And then of course, Jesus Christ himself told Joseph Smith, you're not like Job yet. And so, so you want to, that tends, to lead me to believe that Job was a real person.
Right.
So anyway, it is written in a poetic type sense, and but the conversation between God and Satan, sure, but that's I think it's written in a very fancy way. It sounds like they're sitting there discussing what happened.
That's right. Yeah. So Satan basically says to God, he says, of course Job is going to be faithful. Look at all that you've given him.
And he's got a point. I mean, that's a pretty fair point.
That's right.
To me, when I heard that, I thought, Satan's pretty smart. I mean, that's what a very intelligent person would say. And it's true, because sometimes I do look at things like that and I go, of course they're doing such and such. I mean, he's got this, he's got a good job, his kids are perfect, his wife's perfect, you just look at things like that and say, of course it's easy for you to do this calling, or for you to do, and so we get that same thing. So that it's definitely
So God says, okay, Satan, you want to call a bluff here? Let's see what you got. And so Satan says, all right, so I can go after him. And God says, yeah, go after him. And so that's basically what ends up happening.
Yep.
And things get worse and worse from family. He loses all his belongings, right?
Yeah,
all his wealth, loses his children,
all his children,
yeah.
And that's a big so I mean, it's a big deal today to lose all your children, but back then you lose all your children, that's all your inheritance. I mean, everything that they're supposed to take on with your name.
That's right. Yeah.
It was a lot bigger. I don't want to act like it's a lot bigger deal back then, but it did have more, whatever the traditions and things were a little bit
maybe
bigger,
going into kind of status,
right.
And
everything. Exactly. So that was a big deal. And then of course, after he hit his wealth and his sons and his daughters, he hit his health. At that point, Satan was like, okay, he passed all that, but let's be honest, I'm just paraphrasing. Let's be honest, Lord, he probably didn't call him Lord, but anyway, he says, you know, what if I guarantee you, if you start taking him down physically, he's going to curse you. Now, he can't handle that specifically to his own self. You know what I'm saying? His own person, you know. And so the Lord said, okay, but you can't kill him, but you know, go for it.
Right.
Or what, you know.
Right.
And so then his health goes way down. They talk like, man, he had these boils. I mean, it even says in there, he takes like a shard of pottery and starts scraping his skin.
Yeah. Ugh, man.
I don't know if you've ever had poison oak or poison ivy.
Yes.
Have you ever? I mean, so I've had it like on my leg. I had it on my leg one time down by my ankle. And I kid you not, I had the thoughts in my head to grab a wire brush. I don't know if people know what a wire brush is. I wanted to grab a wire brush and like rake that thing across my leg because it was so itchy. I could not stop it. And I thought even if it just tore it off, it would be better.
Yeah. Well,
so that's Job here.
Yeah. So I tell you a similar thing. So when we moved, little unknown fact for everybody, back when I moved to the current property, I bought Marcus's old trailer. And moved it out here while we built our house.
That's right.
Well, when we finished up and we got ready to move the trailer off our property, of course we had cats and stuff. So I climbed up under there and was unhooking the straps and all that stuff. And anyway, I was evidently climbing around in cat poop, right? And so it had worms and everything, and the worms embedded in my legs.
Yep.
It was me and Kenny, Andrew's uncle. Yeah. And man, to see that stuff and just kind of, it was nasty, and it itched and drove me crazy. But same thing, just stick my legs up under like hot boiling water almost.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, just pour acid on them. It didn't matter.
Right.
You're just like, whatever, just cut it off. It don't even matter.
That's right.
So, anyway. So we get a little sense of Job. Come on,
that's
Job.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You understand. But yeah.
Yeah, so continue on with the story there.
Well, he's hurting. You know, right. Job's hurting. They say he's got elephantitis, possibly because he starts to become disfigured. A lot of people didn't even elephantitis is where the swelling of the body and face was probably swollen and disfigured, and it was getting rough. I mean, we don't know exactly what he had, but it was bad enough that he basically, I think if I'm reading it right, he actually went out and started living among the lepers, and he had to go to the outcasts. You know, he had to go away, and then all the people that respected him and revered him, looked up to him, were actually starting to talk about him and mock him and look down on him and his friends and his acquaintances. And this actually started getting to him a little bit. He's because not only that, but he had silence. He sat in silence, that can be rough, just complete isolation. And so you start getting into depression and things like that. And this is where it started wearing on Job. It really did.
And it had been where he'd been through a ton, and obviously I don't blame him at all for questioning and saying, okay, obviously I've done something wrong. Right. And his friends are telling him, you just need to go ahead and curse God and die. Yeah. And just ask God to take your life.
Said it.
Wife said it. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. His wife said it. And sometimes I look at that and go, really? Like, you just want your husband to die. But, I've been in those, without going into detail, but I've been close. There's loved ones in my life that have passed on, that have gotten so sick where you just think in your head, like, please just pass away. It's better to just pass away than to keep suffering like you're suffering. It's crazy. This needs to stop, And so I think it was more from that aspect from the wife. I think it was more like this suffering, you're suffering so bad and probably complaining and like you say, rightfully so. Yeah. It's like, just, end it. Just end it. And just, she says, curse God and die. This, a lot of speculation, a lot of things back then. If you were afflicted, so here I did think of this. Let me look at this. My problem is going to be trying to find everything.
Right.
Hold on just a second. I know I got it right here at the top. There's so many chapters too, by the way. There's like 55 chapters.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm sure you read every single one of them, right?
No, did not have the time. Where is it?
So while you're
I got it.
looking, you got it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I got it. So this is a thing back then that if you were afflicted or had some kind of disformity or something happens to you physically, that means that the Lord is mad at you and you're a bad person, and he's put that on you because you're a bad person, and that's an outward showing of that, hey, the Lord is not pleased with me. And so this comes from and also his friends, the ones that are coming up, these three friends that are actually, they actually come in the name of comfort. They come in to comfort their friends. So these were good friends. They really were good friends of Job. We don't want to just dismiss these friends as mere acquaintances. These were like, I mean, think of in your life those that are super close to you, those that would run to your aid right now if you needed it.
Right.
And so that's what these three friends really were. They really came to Job. They knew his situation. They went there to help. They went there to help him. But obviously it turns into where they start accusing him that, hey, you've sinned, man. You need to get good with God, everything.
Right.
And so I started thinking about this and thinking, like, why would they say these things? They know Job's character. They have to know him and that he's a good person. But because of his afflictions, they think, well, the Lord is mad at you. You need to, whatever you've done that we don't know about, you need to get rid of that. You need to confess that, and on and on and on. And of course, Job's like, you call yourselves comforters? This isn't comforting, John chapter 9, in the New Testament, it says, and as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? So many falsely believe that people who are afflicted physically are wicked and are paying for their sins. And so that this is a sort of a thing that just the way people kind of believe for whatever reason, and I can see where they're coming from.
Well, I don't know if you've ever done it, but I know that so if things not going quite right for me, where things aren't working out like I want them to, I automatically start thinking, okay, hold on a second, what have I done? Where have I messed up? Where have I misstepped?
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just almost just a natural reaction.
It really is. And now that you say that, I do that all the time. I say, Lord, what? Okay, please, Lord, forgive me if, why do I have to do that? Why is this happening right now? This is like the worst time for this to happen, whatever, So yeah, I guess that's true. We really do go to that place, and think, what have I done wrong? I remember when my mission call got changed before I went on my mission. I got called to Puebla, Mexico, and probably a few weeks before I was to leave, I get another letter in the mail. Didn't even know what it was, and open it up, and it says, I'm going to Barranquilla, Colombia. It says, we regret to inform you, you're not going to serve in Puebla, Mexico. And as I read that, in my mind, I went straight in my mind. I went, what have I done? What did I do wrong? Like what?
Right. Yeah.
What did I not confess something? Does the Lord know something? I don't, maybe am I hiding something? What's going on? And it's just, but it is automatic. We go there. Yeah, we go there. And so,
yeah,
man, Job's just a pure saint. As a matter of fact, you put out a video this week, a short that talked about how we come up with y'all keep on striving.
Yeah.
I just figured out all we had to say was y'all be Job.
Yeah, y'all be Job. That's right. Yeah,
exactly. Y'all be Job. Let's just be Job. That's all we got to do.
Well, and being that you said that, so what I was going to bring up is, so we go through this suffering and everything, and those people that are trying to comfort and everything, sometimes they may say, hey, and that they may reference scriptures, right? Or they may specifically even reference Job and all his suffering, right? Well, a lot of times people don't want to hear that. They may say, look, I'm not Job. Okay. I don't have the strength of Job. Yeah. Right. So I don't think I should, and they almost get offended for offering scripture, support and comfort and everything. So I thought about that. And coming from a talk titled, Hast Thou Considered My Servant Job, by John S. Tanner. He gives a couple of different detailed examples of different scenarios that people found themselves in and extremely, struggling through some extreme hardships. Mm-hmm. But he says the book of Job resolves neither the particular perplexities of these cases nor the general problem of evil. It does teach us, however, about enduring the crisis of faith that occur when life seems to lose all moral sense. It does not answer the question, why does God permit suffering to come to his children? But it does answer the question, how shall we respond? You mentioned earlier about Joseph Smith and where he was pleading with the Lord in Liberty Jail, and saying, why is all this suffering, and why are you hiding your face? When are you going to show up and take this away? And then the Lord responds, art thou yet, or you are not.
You're not yet as Job.
Job, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah, another, and he gave him the reason why. He said because your friends haven't left you.
But exactly, that's right.
And that now that hits me, that impacts me a little more listening to this with these friends, and that's a whole. And basically, Jesus was telling him that's a whole nother level, man.
That's right.
You're not on
Job
that.
ended up being by himself.
Yeah, utterly alone. Really,
utterly alone. That's right.
And I'm not saying it's never happened to any other man on earth, but we do know it happened to Jesus Christ. He was utterly alone at the end. I mean, as far as like, obviously, Mary was, but as far as the way he was taken away, and he was on his own. Where he was isolated. He was by himself, and until he was up on the cross, obviously.
Right.
And then, but even then,
the Father. That's right.
And then the Father and he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?
That's right. It seems as though there's always an example in the scriptures to relate back to Christ, so that there's a human being that knows a specific part. You think of Abraham and Isaac, right? And Abraham having to sacrifice his son, and this situation here where Job is completely by himself, right? Abandoned basically. So,
yeah. Old Job, he stuck through, man. And I mean, just the responses, a couple of responses that stood out to me here in Job 1, just real quick. He says, after basically all this stuff is taken, and his children, and he says, and he basically rent his clothes and shaved his head, and starts going into just a mourning type thing, and he said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And he's like, basically, I arrived here with nothing, and I'll leave with nothing. If that's the way the Lord, nothing of my own. I came here with nothing of my own, and I'll leave with nothing of my own. Everything that was given me was by the Lord. So he takes those things back, and that's what he did. I mean, the thing that's standing out to me more and more as I study Job is that one of the reasons, I'll say, because I don't know everything about Job. We know he's a great man, but he understood very well, not just understood it, but he lived it, and he studied it probably often. He knew the plan of salvation front to back. I mean, he knew about the atonement. He knew that he was going to live again. He knew that his family was probably with him forever. Right. He knew, I mean, all these things, he knew the gospel, and he knew the atonement of Jesus Christ. He knew the plan of salvation. I think that's what helped him trudge on and keep going, because he had that knowledge. Right. Nephi said, I will go and do, for I know, and Job knows, and that's why he's doing, and he's still going. And so that's the big deal. It started hitting me where, hey, do I understand the plan of salvation well? Like I've said before, we've lost loved ones that are close to us. It helps tremendously knowing the plan of salvation. If I didn't know anything about that, it would feel I would just feel so hopeless. But right. knowing the things we know, the truths that we know, it doesn't take it all away, but it really gets us like, okay, I can get there. I know how it works. Yeah,
exactly. Right. And that makes me think about, so kind of an announcement here. I've recently been called as the seminary teacher.
Right. I knew about it because I'm in high council.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
You didn't give me that. You should have given me that that nay vote.
Oh, I don't think he can.
Okay.
Sorry, he can't have it. He can't have that. No.
That's right. No, yeah. But what I was so back when we came through seminary, it was scripture mastery, right? Everything was about memorization. Same thing on our missions. Everything was about memorization, right? So now one of the things that they focus on is doctrinal mastery.
Yes.
And that gets to the point you were making, is understanding the doctrine, right? Yeah. Understanding our beliefs, the principles, so that when times get hard, that we have that understanding to fall back on, right?
Yeah.
Or when we have conversations with people, you know, we fall back to our actual understanding. So, and I really love how the brethren have moved us into that direction and taken away almost the robotic feel where everything's kind of memorization focused, to where we're relying on the spirit and understanding.
Yeah, it really dives into the meat of the things, you know. It really is that, you know, what are we learning here? And honestly, we're here to go through trial. Hopefully, I pray none of us are here to go through the trials Job's went through, but we're here to go through some trials. We have to. That's the plan, man. I mean, it sucks. But honestly, ultimately breaks down. That's what we're here to do. I had a thought I did want to make that I wrote down earlier this week. And let's see here. I put this down, and of course I just jotted it down, so I'm gonna have to translate here. You know, that there's a song that I listened to earlier this week. It came on the radio, and I've never heard this song before. It's about you know, a country music singer by the name of Craig Morgan, and it's called "This Ain't Nothing." And it just basically, I'm not going to read everything about it, but it's basically about they're interviewing, this news team's interviewing this old man that his house just got blown away by a tornado. And basically they're saying, sir, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna handle this? And this old man, he was like, you know what? He said, let me tell you something. He said, this ain't nothing. And he goes on to say, he said he lost his daddy when he was 8. He lost a baby brother, you know, his best friend, his baby brother, when he was young. Or actually lost him in Vietnam, it says. And then you know, then his wife dies after 50 years of marriage. And so he looks at this thing with this tornado that blew his house away. He's like, this is nothing. I've been through worse than this. But it got me thinking, as I was listening to that song, I said, this is Job. You know, Job's lost all his children. You know, he's got some skin boils now. You know, right. I mean, yeah, that's bad, but it's like, I lost all my kids, you know, and I'm not saying it was just easy after that. I'm not saying it was easy, but it puts things into perspective as he goes. Yeah, I'm losing my friends, but I also lost my daughter. You know, I also lost, you know, my whole fortune, my whole whatever. You know, you just you look at all the things, but each thing, if you look at it properly, it puts things in perspective, and it should strengthen you as you go. And so the question come up to me, and this is the question I put, it says, do we crack when our bubbles burst? I think we talked about these bubbles that we get into, and we're comfortable,
right?
Everything's cool. You know, it's like, oh, my son just came home from a mission, you know, everything's going great at work, and everything's great. You know, what do we do when something bad happens? How do we react? And you know, just for me, sometimes there'll be something really minor, really dumb. Like all of a sudden, I think one day, I don't remember when it was, a couple of weeks ago or something, I was walking out and I seen Morgan, my daughter's car, and it had, and the fog light thing, the I don't know if she hit something or what, but I seen it hanging out from the bottom of the car. You know, the light bulb was hanging out, and in my mind, I went, "Are you kidding?" I just felt this anger come on me all of a sudden.
Right? Yeah.
And it must have been this past week, because I thought of Joe. I thought of this, and I thought, you know what? Wait a minute, hold up just a second. I was like, it's a light bulb. What's going on? Like, why did I just react that way? Like, I just, you know, this is out of. I've got to fix this now. This messes up my day. My day.
That's right.
Day.
Yeah.
And so, how do we react when our bubbles burst? You know, when the things do get hot and the things do happen, and these things come upon us. You know, we need to be prepping for that now. Don't wait for it to happen in the moment, because it's much harder to deal with. I think Job was prepared way before this started happening, and which is why I think the Lord allowed. He said, okay, yeah, you can pick on Job. I know Job.
That's right. Know? Yeah, exactly.
I know him. He can handle this. And so, you know, I hope the Lord knows me good enough. I'm not asking for trials. I don't want it.
Right.
But you do have to prepare yourself for things, you know.
Absolutely. I think the going back to the understanding and the preparing. I don't know if you saw the quote by Elder Neil A. Maxwell in the "Come Follow Me," but it's definitely a Maxwell quote.
Oh yeah.
He says, when we are unduly impatient with an omniscient God's timing, as Job seemed to be, we really are suggesting that we know what is best. Strange, isn't it? We who wear wrist watches seek to counsel him who oversees cosmic clocks and calendars.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So
We forget.
That's right. So that little fog lamp that messed up your day there a little bit,
Yeah, my immediate reaction, are you kidding me? Like, really? I mean, she ain't never gonna be able to keep a car. Or something. I don't know.
Right,
she probably didn't even do anything. It probably just fell out. I don't know. It was just, anyway, it's like, what? We got to watch ourselves,
Yeah.
When those bubbles burst, because they are going to burst, and the Lord needs them to, honestly. Yeah. He don't need it as much as we need it. We need to go through some heat and some fire to become what we need to become. I gave a talk this past week about conversion, and the line that kept playing in my head was, we're not here just to be, we're here to become. That's what we're here to do. We're not here. We're not here just to exist. We're here to do things and to become better.
So and become who God intends us to become.
Exactly.
You mentioned the fire. Plan. That's right. You mentioned the fire, refiner's fire. One of the best videos I've ever seen. I love it. Is in this lesson. So everybody out there on your digital phones or iPads or whatever, tablets, if you scroll down to the bottom in this lesson, there's a wonderful video. And I may try and put a link here in this one, as well as that Craig Morgan song.
Yeah, that song,
stuff. So tell us what happens at the end here, Marcus, with Job.
Man, chapter 42, man. Let's just go straight to chapter 42, the last chapter here that we have on our lesson. It does all work out great for Job in the end. He has suffered great loss, and he's towards the end of his trial now. The Lord is pleased with him, and basically in verse 5, I like this. This is what Job says. He says, I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear. He's talking about the Lord. He said, I've heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye seeth thee. To me, that tells me that Job is on another level now. He didn't go through all this for nothing, just so the Lord could prove a point or something. This was for Job. Job became greater. He now not only has just heard of the Lord. In my mind, it kind of feels like, well, I know who you are, Lord, through reading and studying and the experience of myself, a few experiences, but the experience of others I've heard. But now I see you. This is a whole nother thing. And so because of all this refining, and this is a contrast from Job chapter 23, when he says, behold, I go forward, but he's not there. Backwards, I can't perceive him. On the left, where he doth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, and I cannot see him. But now he's saying, I see you. I see you. I see you exactly. And so I had, there's this thought, I think I heard it on something, but I can't remember. And it came to my mind anyway. It says, when, basically, and I'm paraphrasing what this person said, I can't remember, maybe it was on a reel or something, a pastor or something said it. But anyway, it says, when you step out of a bright light and enter a dark room, at first you can't see anything. When you come out of a bright light and step in a total dark room, you can't see anything. It takes a moment for your eyes to adjust to be able to see better in that dark room. God has made us so that our eyes can adjust to the darkness that sometimes surrounds us, so that we don't remain blind. He helps us see things we can only see in a dark place. Things we wouldn't have ever known about if we had always remained in the light.
Right.
Our dark times can strengthen us and give us new abilities to see and do greater things. We become more in our dark times as we rely upon God to help us adjust. And so it's just true. Job's on another level now. He sees God. In other words, he's good. He's got it down now. He's getting it. He's on a whole nother level. So that's the thing. And so it goes on, and actually I do like this part. I just want to make mention because I thought it was a little bit funny. His three friends, the Lord also spoke to them, and tells them that, that man that you've been bullying the whole time, right, and you've been accusing of sinning, you need to go to him right now and ask for repentance, because I'll listen to him. I'll listen to Job on your behalf if you go to him and repent. And it's like,
Wow.
And they do. I mean, these weren't bad friends. These weren't bad people. They just were a little misinformed and just misguided and
misunderstood again. I mean, I think they did not anticipate when they showed up. They didn't anticipate, you know how, you always have these expectations and then all of a sudden it's either a lot worse than you.
Right.
And that was their situation. Like, holy cow, man, this is really bad. You must have done something.
Oh yeah. And then the last verse, verse 12 that I'll mention. I love this. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. That's a great statement. We've said it before. You can't outgive the Lord. You can't do more than the Lord can do for you. It doesn't work. It never will. It never will. I don't care what you give here. Obviously, Job gave everything, and the Lord gave him back everything that he would ever want and need. Friends start giving him money. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like his wealth comes back. His family, he has children. From what I understand, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming he's got the same wife. I don't think his wife ever passed away from what I've read and try to look for. It doesn't really say, but he has more children, and I'm assuming with the same wife. So that was a good thing that, he didn't lose his wife, I guess. And so anyway, but all these things happen, and the Lord, and this thought came to my mind too. I think maybe it was a Book of Mormon Central video or something, but it says, while we may not always know the reasons for our afflictions, we can certainly know the reason for our hope. And that's Jesus Christ. Right. And I thought that's great. I mean, we may not know why things are happening to us. We don't understand it, but we can understand that God's in control. Just like you said before with the Maxwell quote?
Yeah.
About we want to dictate to a man that, is putting the universe in order, and we're just sitting here needing a wristwatch, or we need an app on our phone, tell us what the weather's going to be. And so, so the Lord knows the best and what's best for us, and he will prepare us for what's coming.
Right.
But he needs us. Ultimately, the Lord needs us to know what we're capable of and who we should depend on. And that's him. And so that's where we're at. This is our trials are for our good,
That's and what I also thought of is that, I mentioned earlier, people may think, well, I'm not Job, right? So I'm not, I can't suffer that much, or I shouldn't be suffering this much. Also, on the other end of that, we need to understand that that we may not be blessed as much as Job was as well. And Elder Holland, he makes this point. He says, some blessings come soon, some come late, and some don't come until heaven. But for those who embrace the gospel of Jesus Christ, they come. Yeah. And so that to me, that's huge as well, is that we may not receive all the blessings that we feel like we are entitled to because of our faithfulness in this life.
Right.
But keeping that eternal perspective, knowing that eventually they will come.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. Well, there you go,
y'all be Job. Y'all
keep on
saying,
y'all be Job.
With the gospel, there's all these principles of the gospel. The last thing, of the principles of the gospel is endure to the end.
Right.
I mean, Job is that. Job is that example. He
embodied that for sure.
Yeah. So,
well, there you go. Until next time, y'all keep on striving.